I, 26 female, was set to be a bridesmaid in my friend Deidre's 26 female wedding. She had 5 bridesmaids in total, including me. We met in high school and moved back to our mutual hometown area a few years later. I'm 6'1" and my nickname has always been Big Bird, while the other girls and Deidre are about 5'4" to 5'6" or so. I have a Nikon DSLR and have always liked to casually take pictures for my social media, which I did of all of us in the time leading up to the wedding. On the wedding day, the paid photographer Jenny was on site at Deidre's massive church but was sick. She said she'd eaten something that didn't agree with her and that she could power through, but ultimately she had to leave. Shortly after she left, and before we were supposed to head to the sanctuary, Deidre asked me to walk around the perimeter of the church to make sure that the entrances were all labeled and no one was lost. So I did that in my dress and tennis shoes and made it back in about 15 minutes. By the time I got back into the bridal suite, it was nearly time to head into the foyer. As I walked in, everyone was quiet and staring at me. Deidre's fiance's sister, Ashley, who hadn't been sure if she'd make it to the wedding, was there as well. Deidre said that they didn't have a wedding photographer since Jenny was gone. She wanted me to give my bridesmaid's dress to Ashley and take photos with my Nikon since no one wanted to just have pictures on their iPhones. Everybody swarmed me and started helping me out of my dress, pulling the rhinestone combs out of my hair. Deidre took back the bridesmaid gift of the matching Tiffany bracelet we wore during the wedding to put it on Ashley. Everyone said that this was a much better plan and started hyping up my photography skills. They were also saying this would be great because the wedding party would look uniform now, and the mom said it would be great to include all the family girls as bridesmaids. Deidre said that I would be able to eat after everyone else and that she wasn't sure where Ashley had been sitting for dinner, but it wouldn't matter because I wouldn't need to sit down anyway. This was all very rushed, and I didn't have time to think. Still, I was immediately pretty hurt by the demand that I would be responsible for not only the wedding photography for free, but that everyone was implying that I'd make the pictures look weird if I was in them, and that I'd be okay with not having a seat at all or the chance to eat. I told Deidre that I wasn't a professional photographer and didn't know what I was doing, but she kept saying, "You'll do great, and I'm sure it'll be good." While everyone continued getting ready, I packed up all my stuff, said I had to take it out to my car, and then drove home. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You were literally uninvited to the wedding and forced into being an unpaid employee instead. The description of them helping you out of your dress brings to mind the scene in Disney's Cinderella where the stepsisters tear her dress off and leave her in rags. I hope it didn't feel like that when they did that to you. That wasn't very nice. I wonder, how much did OP invest in her bridesmaids' duties? Organizing the events, dress, shows, tra-la-la. I would send the bride an invoice and demand everything back. I lost it when they even ripped the bridesmaid's present from her, a present for her work, just to ensure she couldn't possibly be mistaken for a bridesmaid. It all seemed as if the shortfall of the photographer was perfect, and they wanted to get rid of OP anyway, to get the other girl as a bridesmaid. If it wasn't for the photographer's excuse, they would have found another one, I'm sure. They aren't your friends, so screw them. Try to at least get every cent back. Seriously, and the amount of erasure of OP, no place to sit, no meal, no gift, no pay. Did OP pay for the dress that they stripped and gave away? Oh, and we can't have her in pictures. That would be awkward. Maybe if it had all been was them problem solving in a panic and having you take photos to sub in for the missing photographer, it would have been okay. But implying the wedding party looked better without you, that's just awful behavior. Update. Am I the idiot for ditching my friend's wedding after she removed me as a bridesmaid? Thank you for weighing in. I'm reading all of your comments and I wanted to answer some of the most common questions I've seen. So I'll use this as an update and to answer your questions. I was trying not to include too much information in my post, but I think I should include more. This dress was a midi-length dress from David's Bridal with no tailoring. The top had adjustable spaghetti straps and was cinched in with a rhinestone belt. Ashley and I are very close to the same size, so the dress is okay for her to wear. I paid $120 for the dress. Deidre bought the accessories, and I wore ballet flats I already owned. I also paid for a wedding gift, bridal shower gift, and her drinks at various points. So I would estimate my cost at $500. We did our own hair and makeup at the church. The Tiffany bracelets were some of the $300 ones. I understand why she took mine off. They're relatively distinctive and meant to match in the photos, but it still stung. Jenny was there for some time, so she should be able to send them professional photos of us getting ready, but I watched her getting sweatier, so I suspect her having to leave, even though I didn't witness it, was genuine and urgent. So I don't think that Deidre dismissed her. I do now think that she asked me to check around the church to get me off by myself, since Jenny had already left at that point and she'd had time to think about what to do. Because of where the bridal suite was positioned, few people were parked over there, and I have a car with a distinctive color that had been parked right up by it. So I suspect no one messaged me an alarm because they looked out and immediately realized I'd just left, and I suspect they're not going to message me and ask if they can get the few pictures I'd already snapped either. Many people are telling me to take Deidre to court, but that isn't in my nature. I'd prefer not to stir things up with her, but I have been watching social media, and they haven't blocked me. I posted here because I saw a few vaguely snarky comments from Deidre's mother-in-law about how they couldn't get a photographer to stay, but they made do. The only message I've gotten directly has been one of the other bridesmaids asking me if I'd gotten any pictures at all, and I just ignored it. But I've been turning this over in my mind and wondering if I'm the idiot for bailing, so I posted here. The last thing I want to clarify is that people have been comparing this to the scene in Cinderella. It certainly didn't feel good, but at the moment I was in a problem-solving mode because this was being presented to me as a last-minute problem that I needed to help solve. Everyone was talking like we were collaborating on this great thing while quickly getting all of my items off and onto Ashley. I had worn a black velour tracksuit and a t-shirt to the church, so she wasn't literally telling me to walk around in my underwear, but still. I'm sorry, OP. What sticks out the most for me is that after all the rudeness of taking your clothes and bracelet, you were told that you could eat, maybe, if there was food later, but you couldn't sit down and eat like a real guest. You were no longer not just a bridesmaid, you weren't even a friend. I'm so sorry you went through that. Honestly, screw them. I'm 5'2" on a good day. My bridal party consisted of women who were all shorter than me, and my dear best friend from high school, who's a 6-foot goddess. She looked perfect in every photo and fit right in with all of us, and I'm sure you would have as well. I say all this because I zeroed in on their comments about how the pictures will be better without you, because no. Personally, I think the bride didn't want to be outshined by you. Keep being your wonderful tall self, and don't feel bad about sticking up for yourself. OP, I get that you're non-confrontational, but you bought that dress. Off the rack or not, it belonged to you. They stole your dress. At the very least, they should pay you back for that. I hope you dump these friends because, as I said before, friends wouldn't dream of doing what they did to you. It's disgusting. Many hugs to you. You deserve better. We are both 26. Just for background, I've been telling my husband to rehome this dog for months. He brought the dog home 4 months ago. His mother gifted him the dog behind my back, and I knew for an absolute fact that we were not in a spot financially to care for this animal. He refused, saying he was already attached to the dog and she was too cute to rehome, and he felt like he couldn't rehome the dog due to the amount of money his mother spent on the dog for him, $1,200. He had wanted this dog breed for as long as I've known him. It started getting incredibly frustrating recently because the dog, who's 2 years old, has behavioral and medical issues, and we're now in debt. We're almost $200 overdrawn in our bank account due to an unexpected trip to the emergency vet. I told him not to bring her and that she was fine. He brought her anyways. So $650 later, in overdrafting our account, the vet told him the dog was just high. My husband's buddy was over and smoking in front of the dog, so she was stoned. So he overdrafted our account, knowing that neither of us gets paid until next week, to ensure his dog was okay. We have no food in the house and now have no money for gas to get to work. My boss was lenient enough to let me work from home, but my husband had to be in the office. His boss knows we're struggling and is super generous and bought me and my husband food today. They came to drop it off with me at noon. It would be an understatement if I told you I was drooling thinking about eating for the first time in 2 days. Just note that the dog has plenty of food. So they bring over the food, they come inside and put it on the table. I went to hug my husband and his boss saying thank you, and that dog got up on my table, knocked the food down, and wolfed it down in 0.2 seconds flat. I immediately started crying and telling him to get the dog out of here, and I was done. Oddly enough, his boss is on my side, not only because of the money, but because he knows I'm spiraling from the stress of this. On the other hand, my husband tells me I'm being overdramatic and not thinking clearly because I'm hungry. He says not only am I incredibly selfish and inconsiderate, but he won't rehome her. Am I the idiot? If this is true, and I really hope it isn't because I can feel my hope in humanity dwindle, then I know how to ease your financial burden. Lose the freaking husband. Girl, you've gone hungry for 2 days and he doesn't care? He lets you starve while proudly watching as his dog jumps on the table and eats your food? My God, this is just mental. Why are you hesitating? You deserve someone who loves you and cares about you. Not the idiot. Geez, that shouldn't even need to be said. It's a mother-in-law son team who doesn't respect you, probably stomp all over your boundaries. So I assume you haven't been truly happy in a long time. You need to be free from all this nonsense. Rehome the dog and the hubby. You haven't eaten in 2 days and he doesn't care? That shows you how low you are on his priority list. Also, he has no money for food, but he can still afford to smoke? Sorry, but no dog is worth going into debt over, going hungry or not being able to work because you can't pay for gas to get to work. If I were your husband, I would have been mortified that my boss dropped by to bring me some food. The dog is threatening your livelihood since there's no money for gas. You'd lose your jobs if you didn't have such nice bosses. Honestly though, it's time to ask yourself, are you sure you're not the one who needs to just walk away? I, male 33, have been with my girlfriend, 30, for over a year. She quit her job as soon as she moved in with me, saying that technically she's a stay-at-home mom since she takes care of my very young daughter. I thought her decision was odd for many reasons, including the fact that my daughter's only comfortable with me taking care of her needs. Yesterday, I was at work. Since my girlfriend's still getting used to my daughter's routine, I decided to help by making her a schedule and even setting alarms for certain activities like showering. At 1 p.m., my daughter was supposed to eat her lunch. It was on her schedule, but I still texted my girlfriend to remind her. All she had to do was reheat the food I cooked the night before, since I was the one who was doing the cooking. I arrived at 5 and found my daughter in her room with some chips. I asked why she was having chips at the time, and she said it was because my girlfriend didn't give her lunch. I asked why, and she said she had friends over. I was livid. I rushed to confront her, and she tried to downplay it, saying that she forgot, and chatting with her friends made her forget. I said it was BS since she had the schedule. She said I was judging her for still getting used to my daughter's routine and forgetting stuff, but I literally texted to remind her. She claims she didn't see the text, but her phone never leaves her side. So I've decided that I won't be cooking for her or her family, who were supposed to come over later last night for dinner. She freaked out, saying that I couldn't do that and put her in this situation after I agreed to cook for the night. I said it was done and declined to keep arguing about it. She started screaming that I was being too harsh on her, not giving her time to adjust appropriately. She ended up canceling the dinner with her family, but is angry at me for backing out last minute. So, am I the idiot? Dude, the moment she unilaterally quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom for your child that you care for was a sign to get out ASAP. You don't have a girlfriend. You have a dependent. Make sure to file your taxes accordingly. Definitely not the idiot. She's scamming you and using your child as a pawn. Run, bud. Your girlfriend is using you. Harsh truth. Glad you see the real her now. Neglecting to feed a kid and leaving her alone in her room with some chips is the tip of the iceberg as to the neglect or worse that could occur. I strongly recommend you reevaluate this relationship. You may realize that she moved in rather quickly with the notion to stop working and expect you to work and still carry most of the household load. You and your daughter deserve better. You'd be better off hiring a nanny. It sounds like the kid got herself the chips, so you're giving the girlfriend too much credit. Since it was so easy for her to forget to make lunch, I can see her forgetting to get her daughter out of a hot car. Oh, I just ran into Starbucks to get a coffee, and I ran into one of my friends, and I just lost track of time. You are the idiot for letting this person be alone with your child. In my family, I'm the only one close to financially stable. My parents earned enough to have a middle-class income, but my mom was a big shopper, and my dad would blow his money at the casino. Now my parents are at an age where they can no longer work, and they mainly live off my mom's pension and the money I give them every month to support them. My brother went into dance after college, and his job after school was working as a retail associate at a luxury store. He has the same problem with his money, where all the money is spent on clothes and nights out. My brother married this guy who's 20 years older than him. My brother's 26, and this guy is in his late 40s. Initially, this guy framed himself as the rich older guy, but that isn't the case. Here's the thing. They're now asking everyone to donate money so they can make a fund for their future children. First of all, I find this whole thing skeevy as heck. But financially, these guys are going on trips left and right. They constantly lease and swap out cars. So when they asked me for money, I told them no. They tried to guilt me and I said no. Then I got a call from my mom about taking out a home equity line of credit. And I was like, absolutely not. I told my mom, these guys, if they cared about this so much, they could save up for it. And I forbid her to give money to my brother and his partner. She's like, okay, then I'll just give a little bit. I tell her no. I tell her that I'm the one that pays their bills. And if I find out that they gave a cent, I'll cut them off as well. When my brother and his partner discovered this, they were very upset with me. And I told them I didn't care. They're now calling me phobic, etc., and saying that I'm ruining their happy life and preventing them from having a family. Again, I told them I didn't care. They could start saving money themselves, but I was not going to spend a cent of my money to finance their lifestyle. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's not phobic to not want to give money to extremely financially irresponsible people. I do think you're on the fence about telling your parents what to do, but seeing as you also pay their bills, I would have done the same. No offense there, since she can't and didn't technically stop them from chipping in. You're not an idiot if you tell someone that you'll stop supporting them financially when they still have trouble paying their bills and want to throw money out the window. Yes, when I pay your bills, I will hold you responsible for reasonably managing your money. If they want to have kids, that's their business, but they need to get their financing in order first, instead of expecting you to fund it. And since your parents rely on you to make their bills, they shouldn't be giving money away to anybody for any cause. So why should you refinance your home to support two adults who can party it up themselves? Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Honestly, you should probably wean mom and dad too. They're entitled and need to learn to live within their means. They're also probably pretty young, have decades of life left, and should be supporting themselves. Don't wreck your future to save them from their mistakes. Your brother is a brat. They want a child but aren't willing to sacrifice fun. Time to learn. Do you really think this future children's fund will be a one-time thing? Nope. Once that baby comes, then they'll want your help for the nursery cost or diaper money, or now they're short because daycare is so expensive, etc., etc., etc. Cut them all off.